Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you so much for joining me today. We are coming back to All That Glitters. I have a couple projects here on the mat. We're going to make a couple of pairs of earrings and I'm excited. This kit included everything that I have today. I also have a reveal unboxing that I will link in the description below so that you can see this kit in its entirety. So the first project that we are going to work on is a simple wire wrapping pair of earrings. And what we're going to use is we're going to use some of the beads and components. These came from the extra box that had the ear wires and the lobster clasp and the head pins. Then we're going to use the beads and the bead caps and the spacers from the bead mix, the Jesse James Beads bead mix, which is All That Glitters. All right. So when I did this, I'm trying to think of how I did this. I think I put this on the bottom like that. Then I added a silver spacer. I added my bead cap and then added this oval bead. And I think that's how I did it. Then what we're going to do is make a wire wrap loop. So we're going to need a pair of chain nose pliers. And I'm going to make sure all of this is all nice and straight and tidy. And I don't want a long neck, but I also want it to be pretty secure. So we're going to be a little off the tippy tip. We are going to bring in some round nose pliers and we are just going to form that over the top barrel, hold on to that, rotate our wrist, and then just push that to the back. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add, and get the rest of my tools off to the side. We are going to add our connector. Then we're going to grab on to this loop. I'm just going to close it up a little bit here. Get the tip of my chain nose pliers in there. And I want to secure over the loop. Just like that. I want to lock that in place. I'm going to bring in a second pair of chain nose pliers to complete the wire wrapping. And we're going to go around once, twice. We'll try to get around a third time for a nice 3 wraps. Okay, then we're going to come in with our cutters and give that a little bit of a trim. Then what I like to do is come in with my my bent chain nose pliers, because then they're bent and it's easier to kind of hold. And I need to tuck that in, that little tail, and get that tucked in. Okay. I think I have that all nice and tucked in. Make sure it's straight. It doesn't look very straight, so we'll just come in and get that a little less wonky there. Straighten it out, and then we will add our ear wire. And then close that off. That all nice and closed off. And there is her first earring. We'll go ahead and make the second one on air. We're going to start with our gold bicone, our silver spacer, flywheel spacer, our bead cap, and then our oval bead. Make sure it sits on there nice and neatly. We're going to come in just off the tip. Give that a 90-degree angle bend. We're going to come in with our round nose pliers, form the wire over the top of that top barrel. Turn to the side, get that all nice and centered. And then we need to add that to our link before we wire wrap. We're going to come in and add our chain nose pliers to the loop. Try to not get where the wires are crossing. I'm just going to lock that in place. Bring in my second pair of chain nose pliers and give that 3 good wraps. And get that pushed to the back. And give it a trim. Making sure not to trim off your loop. I've done that before. And just hold on to that again. I don't have very strong fingers, and so I usually come in with my second pair of pliers. We're going to add this to our ear wire. The ear wires were included also in the kit. 2 pairs of ear wires, and we're going to use them both up today. And just get that nice and secure. And here's our first project. Super cute. Love these earrings. All right, now we're going to bring in our second project. These are also going to be earrings, and we're going to do a little bit of fun wire wrapping. We have these flowers, and what we're going to do is we are going to take one head pin, and these beads are also from the mix. The flowers are from the Jesse James Beads mix, and the ear wires and head pins are from the little extra goodies that we have. I'm going to string up the small of the white rondelles, and I've done this before, and I love this kind of, I love this technique. So you're going to want your bead to be sitting flush. And then what I do is I bring that head pin nice and tight. And then I find a little crevice there, like the in between a petal, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off. Let's leave about 1/4 of an inch. We're going to bring in our round nose pliers, and then we're just going to roll. I like to roll towards me when I'm making a wire, when I'm making a simple loop, and I do that because then I can see that that I am getting the loop to meet up with the other end. Okay, and so this is what we have so far. Now you see I have 4 head pins. I'm going to take one of the head pins and just trim off the end, and I have a nice flush cut, and I'm going to make a simple loop. Okay, so I have, looks like a little P. I'm going to add my round nose pliers, the tip there, just to make myself a loop. Then I'm going to come in and just make sure it's a little off. So I'm going to bring that in. I'm going to bring this in just a little bit to make it a little bit better. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. I'm going to add it to my component here and close that off. Okay. Then what I want to do is now add the larger flip it over to its side. I'm going to do the same thing and do a wire wrapped loop on the top. Form over that top barrel. Push the tail to the back, and then let's get this nice and centered. Okay. Then we will add our chain nose pliers to the loop section, lock that in place. And now I want to wrap around 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. When I get that to the back, I'm going to come in with my cutters and give it a little bit of a trim. I'm going to bring in my second pair of chain nose pliers and just tuck that in. Okay. Then now I can go ahead and add my ear wire. Now you see how this, it's not really up against the flower, but the way it hangs perfectly. And when it hangs on your ear, it hangs perfectly. Okay, so now we're going to add our ear wire. And just make sure it's nice and up against that wire. And so we have our second, it's the start of our second pair of earrings. So there's 1. So we'll do that again. I'm going to add the small rondelle to the head pin. I'm going to hold my head pin straight, secure the bead. I'm going to find where there's the in between the petals, and I'm going to bring that over so that I can have a 90-degree-ish angle. I'm going to trim at about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers and roll back. Again, I roll backwards just so that I can see that I am going to meet the, I'm going to meet the other end. And I can see that the tail is not really up against the neck. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more and bring that up against that. Okay. I want it to be, the loop needs to be closed, and it wasn't closed all the way. I'm going to come in with my cutters and cut off the end of the head pin. I'm going to create an eye pin. Oops, got a little twisted on me. Okay. It's not all the way to the end there. Okay, so now it's to the end. I am going to now bend that straight up. I'm going to open up the little loop on the end because it's easier for me, it's easier to add the loop before I do all the wire wrapping. Then we're going to add that to our little component that we've just made. And then we are going to add our bead. And this is the larger of the rondelles. We have the smaller and the larger. And we're going to do a wire wrap loop. Give it a 90-degree angle bend. We're going to come in with our round nose pliers. Form that wire over the top barrel. Push the tail to the back. And then center your loop. Come in with your chain nose pliers. Lock that in place. Bring in the second pair of chain nose pliers and start wrapping. I usually go 3 times around. And then I will trim that off. And then I will tuck in just that little tail that's sticking out there. Even though it won't snag on anything, well, it shouldn't because the bead's a lot bigger, but I just like to finish that off. I just feel like I'm finishing off the piece by doing that. And then bring in my ear wire. Make sure that that ear wire is nice and secure. And here is our second earring. I love these earrings. And again, I use the head pins to make eye pins. And we're using everything that was included in the kit, including the ear wires. And here are 2 earrings using our 2 pairs of earrings using our All That Glitters Design Challenge Kit for the month of December from Sawflex Company. Be sure to check out the links I have in the description below for how you can share your designs on the Sawflex Company Facebook page, the VIB community, which is very important beaders. And be sure to check out their YouTube channel. Again, I have all the links in the description. Please give this video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Comment. I love to see what everybody has to say, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.